Okay. So I've been interested in art and nature since I was a small child, constantly making things at the kitchen table, really surrounded by animals that were constantly a source of inspiration. However, I thought I should introduce myself with some of my more recent projects. The video shows the installation of my Meccano Liver bird, which was fabricated from hot zinc coated laser cut steel, and it is 11 metres high, including the plinth. This was installed a few weeks ago. It was scaled up by from a maquette, and it was scaled up by 1 to 14.5. Went to Calais to the actual Meccano factory and sourced they're just all standard Meccano parts, and then constructed the bird, which was then scaled up, and it's now on the site of the original Meccano factory on Binns Lane. So it's a sort of celebration of the history of Meccano, but also embracing the future, because it's a full regeneration going on in this area. So this just shows that was a slight hold your breath moment while that was being installed, really. So yeah, and I think there'll be a couple of images of this after. So I like the story, hiding a story within something, so this was quite nice that it came back to home. Can we go on to the PowerPoint, and then it's just PowerPoint from then on. Thank you. It's on to PowerPoint.
Oh, that's all right.
Yeah. And then do just go back and forward a bit. Okay. So what? Just that? Sorry.
It's always the technology.
Just do that. Yeah, okay. So this shows it installed. The image on the left was before we'd put the colours on, and that was as we were installing on the day. I also created Cilla Black for Liverpool with fellow artist Andy Edwards. I found the main challenge was telling a story in just one sculpture, but I got on really well with the family, and we hid. I thought one of the ways to do it was to hide in relief images and songs and quotes within the dress, so that was all hidden within the dress. And it was a way of covering her extensive career in just one sculpture. So that was that's now situated outside the original cavern entrance on Matthew Street, where she was actually discovered in the 60s. And then we go on to, it's quite varied, my work. So then we go on to the magnolias. These are actually radiators for an arts and crafts house. The family wanted to have it to appear to have always been there, and I wanted to complement the arts and crafts forms. So they're quite organic, beaten copper trees growing up the rooms, but I've used, using the fin effects from the copper, I've projected a 13,000 BTU rad to 21,000 on those. So, and then again with the porches, they wanted those to look as though they'd always been part of the house. This is from my exhibition Spiritus in Beirut. I titled it because I was looking at Greek mythology and the hidden stories that were linked mainly to Beirut as well. So there was Sisyphus with his, I wanted him to be dwarfed and quite vulnerable compared to the rock, for this sort of thankless task of constantly pushing up the mountain. And then the story of Philomela, it was just after the transition, and I wanted them the nightingale and the swallow to frantically be trying to escape from the falcon. Again with Icarus, Leap of Faith, that's bronze that I've actually sewn into, and it was, I wanted him to have sort of accepted his fate. It was sort of a very spindly wing, almost it was a doomed flight. And then Nymph Barrow, who is the daughter of Venus and Adonis, was said to have been born on the coast of Lebanon. So I wanted to capture, she was, so she's got the veil of fabric just covering her chest, because she was intended to marry Poseidon. But also I've got two silver arrows into her chest as an expression of Eros's claim to her heart. Then I've also worked on film sets as well. So Marvel approached me to work on Guardians of the Galaxy and Avengers: Age of Ultron, and they were both after very different stories. So the Guardians of the Galaxy was the collector's spaceship and everything had to look otherworldly, and I was already working on these pieces anyway. So these are reconstructed figures. So I was quite inspired by artefacts that aren't fully restored in museums, and I think sometimes they're much more beautiful without filling in the gaps really. And then I wanted the structure to sort of dominate the piece rather than the piece itself and take over. And then the connection puppet, it can actually move, you can move the joints, but they never quite meet. The Sky God as well, and then Man and Ape. So that was looking at Darwin and the theory of evolution and just crossing over the skulls and building up on those pieces. The Raging Bull, I was really inspired by cave paintings and the rich ochres and the simplified form, but then I also looked at bulls that are bred for bullfighting, so that they really emphasise the muscle structure, because I almost think it's like plates of armour ready for battle, as if you could almost like feel the steam on their nostrils. So I wanted to give that real energy with these pieces. There's a steel substructure going up through the leg, and I wanted that sort of to give that feel of weightlessness, so just supported the structure wherever I could. And that's outside. Also with the fighting hares, although they're very stripped back, I wanted to really push the material with this, and so it had a feeling weightlessness and energy, but with very little support. So that was achievable with bronze. And then the mother and child, that was more trying to capture an intimate moment between them both. Quite often when I'm making these, I will balance the child on my knee and try and think what are they thinking, and vice versa. I'll position my head looking at the mother, wondering what they're thinking. The 13 finches were inspired by Darwin's trips around the Galapagos. I actually found some of his specimens and photographed them, and it was looking at how the different finches. So these were my fake specimens. So the chest plate is made up of a sunflower head. Some of the feet are made up from lily stamen. There's wings made from mushrooms or apple skin. It's quite a mixture of things that I used. And then this one, again, same inspiration, but I used bits of broken Wedgwood plate to hide his marriage to Emma Wedgwood from the Wedgwood family, and also the branch that they're on is from the sketch, I think. So that's what they were inspired from. I'm very lucky with my background. It takes me into a lot of different worlds, and I go to Lea Hurst Veterinary School. I mean, I haven't put some Magori pictures up, but I get to go into, I help out with the autopsies up there, and I can go from sketching either in the field through to like they do 3D scanning and printing of hip replacements, and they let me watch some of the things that are going on in the lab. So I find that really interesting. I feel really honoured that I get to see behind these, go into these worlds that would have never gone into or ventured into from if it wasn't for my chosen career. I've worked internationally for over 20 years, but this career has taken me, as I said, taken me into many worlds. And I've met some incredible people because of my chosen paths as well. I mean, these are from dancers that I work with, so I work with them from the studio through to them actually. The piece was called The Beach, so it was from the studio through to them performing on the beach, and they do contact improvisation, so that really helps inspire my work. But I love to push materials, and I aim to capture the nature of the beast. I try to inhabit the spirit of the animal. What's it thinking? What's it about to do next? I work in a wide variety of materials, including bronze, wax, and clay, and often include found objects within the. These are quite wacky. I often find found objects within the work, but whether I'm trying to portray fighting hares about to go into battle or an intimate moment between a mother and child, they're all made in a similar structural way. So I'll very quickly demonstrate that to you now on the projector. They're my wacky shoes from 3D printing. So that's and I do like the Liverpool shields and stuff as well, and the Roscoe Lecture Award. So these are all like linked. I've just started to experiment a lot more with 3D printing. I think that's it with the images. So if we can go on to, so this is going to be like the spinning plates, really trying to get this ready. So there's some booklets. If you would like to try those. And then these are ones I've made earlier. You can pass these round to have a little look at, because this is what I'll be demonstrating. And there's some booklets here as well. It just give you an idea of what they are. Okay. Right. So, when I'm making a piece, I always work from the torso out, and I try to imagine it's got bone and muscle structure within the piece. So, I've just literally rolled a cylinder here. Just clay. The clay that I use is a mixture of porcelain and grogged white stoneware. So I'll literally just pinch in a waist. And then using the curve of my hand, I've put a seam in, which is now the spine. And using the curve of my hand, I'm literally just pressing against the hip. Turn it the other way. Press again. So I'm getting the hip and the buttock there. And then fold that in. So we're starting to get a little bit of shape. Can you see that? Yeah. Just pinch that over. Sorry, this is so rushed. This will be very sketchy, by the way. Right. So then I pinch in a waist, press in the armpit with the side of the thumb, and curve it round with the finger for the breast, and just push against, and you start to get that appearing. And then again for the other side. So I'm starting to shape that out a little bit. There is a little torso of it being passed around, so you get an idea of what I mean. They're only loose sketches, so we're starting to get a little bit of shape appearing there. And pinching the waist a little bit more. And then because you've got those armpits folded in, you can literally just squeeze them back on themselves, and you start to get the shoulder blade. Waist in. And then for the belly button, it's just the knife, go in and under, and smooth over, press back out, and you start to get the little shape. And then I'd normally put on sockets so that the legs can slide on quite easily. And because you've sort of made it in this technique, the clay really lends itself to the human form, so you can literally sort of wiggle her, and you'll get the folds, the rib will pop out, and you'll get the folds that you'd naturally get in flesh. So that's the sort of how you could play around with her. You know, you can curve her, lean her tummy in, you can just play around with her if she's a real figure. So then once I've made that, I always add on where the joints are naturally in the body. So then I've rolled out this already. I've got one leg ready. And then I'll just get my other one. So I literally normally just use a knife and a rolling pin. So literally roll out the other thigh. So that's that one. Turn that. This is firmed up a little bit, so I'm moving on to this one. Here's one I made earlier, I'm afraid. But because you're actually adding on where the joint is in the body, it will move quite naturally. So just open the socket. And I don't know if you can see from there, but if she wants to bend her leg right up, she will. I mean, this is only to the knee, but no matter what angle you put it, it will look quite natural because you're adding where a joint is in the body. I always look at nature and sort of stripping it back. I used to collect roadkills before I was allowed to go to Lea Hurst Veterinary School and just dissect them. So then we just add those legs on. I'm going to do a sort of lying down because of the nature of the camera, but you can do this in any sort of sitting position that you'd want as well. So then you sort of blend onto the body. And again, you can kind of twist. So see how you can kind of twist her because she's sort of how it's been constructed, basically. And then with then you do the upper arms. So I've just sort of rolled and open up. And just slot on. And then with the hands, I'd literally just roll out a piece of clay, roll it over, and I try to imagine that there is actually bones inside the hands and tendons. So just tear away your excess. I normally put a few markers in, So, yeah, so I'm pinching in the wrist, fold out the thumb, mark out the little finger, and again with the others. I'm just pinching, I'm imagining that there's joints inside those fingers, start to shape that up. Can everyone see this okay? Yeah. And then because if you add on the fingers quite low down, you are then giving the tendons and the bones more detail, but you're also making it a stronger piece. So it's just blend on. Don't fully blend it or else you'll lose that detail. I'm literally just pinching side, imagine that there's joints inside that finger. And then for the fingernails, you just get a really clean tip of your knife. Just imagine that you're going in under the cuticles. And then because you've made it in this way, it means you can bend her fingers and play around with the pose. I think you've got one passing around, so you can really move around. And then you do it exactly the same with the foot. I'll just build up one side of her body because I'm quite conscious on time. How long have I got left now? Okay. So I'll just quickly show you the foot and then I'll build up just one side of her. So again, pinching in the ankle, so it's literally following the lines of your hand. Pinching the big toe. Little finger, little toe. So no matter what scale I'm working on, it's just bigger hand movements normally. And I'm normally trying to create by omission, so how much information is required to describe that form, or how much energy can I get from a negative space. As if there's something with a lot of movement, I'm trying to, as if you just caught it by the side of your view. So I don't want it. I think if you put too much detail on something that's in full movement, it makes it too still. So it's normally formed by omission, really, with my work. And if I get a nice tear, I'll go along with that. Where's your toe? So again, because you can sort of arch the foot, because you've made it in that way, you can really play around with how wiggly your feet are. So I'll just construct that up. So if a bit nicer form there. Open the back of the knee. We can do any position because of how you've constructed her. So she can open that up. She'll be resting on her. Can you see that going up? Yeah. Move her around. So I'll only put one limb on each side because I am conscious of time. I'm sorry. Put the other arm on. And maybe if you open up, just tear that away. I've recently been going more into 3D printing. I go into Fab Lab in Liverpool, John Moores University. That's how those shoes were made. They were scanned from one of my sculptures and then they used Blender and built it up. So I'm quite interested in where that takes me, really. That's another area that I'm just starting to go into. How many minutes have I got? Am I over? 1 minute. Okay, so I'll quickly show one side of the panel of the face and then I'm done. So I build up the face the same as you would with life drawing, so just breaking it down into panels. So you can do, I might just do a jaw. I'd normally build up from the panels of the back round to the eye. So the way to get an eye is literally press your fingernail in and open the eye up. Pop that on. And then this is not going to be an attractive person, I'm very sorry. And then I do from the socket, I've just following all the lines of the face, so from the eye socket round, just building those up. Lower lip. So it's literally just smoothing that lip. Place that on. So you're starting to get a little bit of form of the head there. Again on the other side. Just want to be able to show you this. So then the nose would just be literally a T, and it goes down to the lip. So it's literally pinching in a T, upside down, press it round. Then you get the top lip in, nostrils. She's not going to be attractive, I'm just warning you. And then, because imagine I've had a bit longer on the face, but because you've built it up in this way, and it's panels, if you want her to smile, her eyes sort of crunch up and smile, or she can be shocked. You can really play around with that face, with the expression. She's not attractive, I'm afraid, but you kind of get the idea. Okay, thank you. Thanks very much.
I know that was remarkable.
Thank you.
Thanks ever so much.
Thank you.
I'm sorry you was under such tight conditions.
Okay.
But you did a fantastic
Thank
job.
you. Thank you.
And what people don't realise is that there's going to